That should be working. Alrighty. Where to start? Let's bring up the patch notes again and see where you start. But first I'll turn on the sound because it's always way too loud. Okay. Yes, hello, I can see the chat. If there's any problems with the audio or visuals, please do tell me. Where do we start? Let's just start with the new ship, shall we? Because it's usually the smallest one. Yes, this is the dev server. So I'll be showing the new ships, new stuff, everything and anything I can find. Yeah, about that Italian cruiser, I won't even try to pronounce it. There's only 4 ships in this iteration of the dev server. So there's not going to be a lot of new stuff, sadly. I have seen that little data mine on my Discord server, and I hope we'll see those ships in another dev server and on the update, but they're not on this dev server. All we have are USS Wilkinson, a new American premium destroyer at 4.3, basically the USS Mitcher, but with more advanced 76mm cannons and no 20mm autocannons. Does it have the same torpedoes? I think it does. Yeah, they're the same torpedoes. Really not good torpedoes, way too slow. Yeah. Flying Scharnhorst is a bit of an issue. I don't have that many German blue water ships, sadly. I'll give Wilkinson a trial later, but first I'll go over all the ships. So, Wilkinson, premium premium Mitcher. Battle 76 is no 20mm, should be a decent premium. I've seen the changes to the guns, but I'll get there soon enough. Because they seem interesting, certainly. But yeah, that's all the Americans get, premium ship for now. The Germans get the... Let's just start with the main attraction, Scharnhorst. Because that's just always the best option. It is, I will admit, a very beautiful ship. And probably one that's going to be a bit controversial for some people, because it is quite a modern battleship. Well, modern by World War II standards. But first importantly, the armor, what does it look like? That is a 350mm belt. That is the thickest we have in game, I think. And that's going for all the distance. 350mm belt, 45mm upper belt. What lies behind it? 105mm. That's a very steep turtleback as well. This is going to be a tanky ship, I think. Interesting. So a very tanky battleship. What are the internals like? Is that... That is above the waterline, but I'd say good luck punching through all of that armor. Though maybe you can from the front. So it's around here-ish. Should be... Yeah, it's below the turtleback still, of course. So it's relatively well protected, but it might actually be vulnerable from the front. If people go through it like this, so you might actually want... Not quite sure. So, it seems like a well-protected ship. Most of the ammo behind fuel tanks, below turtleback. The biggest issue is probably going to be all of the secondary guns, because they do kill crew if you kill the secondary guns. So, yeah, about the lack of ships this update. I've seen a small leak list saying that there's like another, what is it, 4 or 5 ships to come? Like, I think it was an Italian and a Russian cruiser, or another Japanese destroyer, some few more ships. So it's going to be interesting. There's no Kronstadt or Stalingrad. This is... Actually, I'll check the protection analysis, but first I want to check the shells. Just to take a look at that. That's quite a hefty high explosive load. Explosive. Though I really need to compare with the Graf Spee, but I'll check those later. 14 torpedoes is actually quite a nice load. What are torpedoes? So twin launchers? No, triple launchers, but 4 for a reload. Yeah, that's it. Triple launchers, but 4 torpedoes for a reload. Modifications. Let's torpedoes. What are they like? Good speed, limited range, and that's. I think that's a workable range, but 6 kilometers is very close to get with a battleship. Though with Scharnhorst speed, which is what? 50 kilometers an hour stock, this is a very fast battleship. It's going to be interesting to see how it will play out. But yeah, protection analysis, like somebody asked. What shell do we want to use for it, though? Let's just use its own armor-piercing shell against it. Like, I'm thinking if you go through here, can you... Yeah, almost. You can almost reach it, but I'm thinking there's an armored plate there that gets in the way. But that's nowhere near the combat range, really. We need 8k-ish. So it can't really go... I'll do Hugo AP next, and then rush into semi-armor piercing. Hugo, where is she? There she is. Armor piercing. If you angle the ship, can you reach it? It was too high up. Still no. So it's going to be tough to try and detonate from the front. But again, if you high explosive spam all of these secondaries, I think that's going to kill quite a lot of crew. Is the rear magazine any different? Let's see. Still a large belt. That's armored bulkhead. That's in the. Why can I not see the armor values? Weird. I think it's going to be. I'll try to aim underwater. See what happens. Though something with the shell arcs has happened, so I don't know if underwater hits are going to be quite as possible. But I'll take a look at it later. Hugo, we want armor piercing. If we go just below the waterline, it's stopped because there's a 305mm belt there as well. If you go far below the waterline, sure. But I think that's even... Fuel tank's going to stop that even. Yeah, it's... From my first impression, I think Scharnhorst is going to be a very tanky ship. The speed is also going to be very impressive. Torpedoes are always useful, especially these torpedoes. An 80 km/h speed is a good speed for torpedoes. Let's see what just high explosive will do. Let's go to Marlborough for that. Because that has a good high explosive shell, although maybe too good. Yeah, I'm thinking if you saturate the superstructure and knock out all of the secondaries, you might kill it with that way. Though the more decent naval players will just know to not repair their secondaries and there won't be a problem. It's a bit of a shame I can't test full salvos against ships because that's what you'll face. You'll never get hit by a single shell. Yeah, it is going. I think on the death stream just a little bit ago, I saw it going 60 km/h, which is it's cruiser levels of speed basically with battleship armor. It's going to be a very impressive battleship. I want to try out the semi-armor piercing. Can that penetrate? I don't think... I haven't really played many battleships, and I haven't played them in quite a while, so I'm not quite sure how this will do. I'm just reading chat at the moment. Yeah. So yeah, mobility and armor are definitely in favor for Scharnhorst, but I want to look at the guns themselves. Let's go to X-ray view, and it's bugged for some reason. Fun. Let me actually switch to another ship and back and see if it helps. Just can I hover? Annoying. Does it tell the reload in the notification window? No, too bad. So a 21.5 kilo HE shell, a 7.2 kilo AP shell, 16.5 kilo SAP shell. What is that comparison to Speer, which has similar guns? Let's take a look. Is very similar in payload. I think slightly heavier. So the high explosive is less, I think. Yeah, there's less high explosive filler. Slightly less AP filler, and I think 16.7, was it more or less? Slightly less, I think. So I assume that the guns will act similarly. Yeah, it's slightly less. The guns will act similarly to Speer then. So not too powerful, I guess. When facing other battleships, maybe? What's the penetration on the Thepin AP? Because I don't have Speer, I don't really know these guns too well. Yeah, it might actually be the case that this ship will not be too good against other battleships. The Scharnhorst of the cost of the Scharnhorst. I can look that, but I assume it's the same. Yeah, 380 RP, 380,000 RP. It's halved on the devserver, but that should be 990 silver line, 990,000 silver lines. The standard battleship cost, basically. Repair cost is 23,500 stock. Yes, I'll show the gun, but I just wanted to look at the main attraction, the Scharnhorst, first. And I think I've covered it for now. My first impression of Scharnhorst is very good survivability, very good mobility for a battleship, mediocre gun armament. It's going to be a cruiser killer, definitely, because it'll keep pace with cruisers. It'll be resistant to cruisers, but the firepower is not, I don't think, will be good enough to deal with battleships. Though maybe it will deal with the weaker ones. I'll first show the Flussy. I'll just go over that. I can already tell you there's nothing new for the British tech tree yet, this devserver. So let's just go for the coastal fleet. There's only 4 ships in this devserver according to the patch notes. That's USS Wilkinson. I've showed at the beginning. Then there's Scharnhorst, Flussy, and JDS Harukaze. There's only 4 ships. I'll get to the planes later on and other notes as well. I'll just go over the ships first. Blue water. Flussy, I saw it on a dev stream. A 2.7 battle rating is a really good battle rating for this ship. It really is. I find it a bit odd that it's not in line with the barges, because it kind of fits there, but I mean, I'm not going to complain, because it won't stop any grind that anybody has yet. So it's just another new ship. 100,000 RP is a bit that kind of stuff. 100,000 RP is, I mean, that's to be expected. Rank 4 coastal is really like the barrier where you don't want to. Unless you're really invested in Ghost of gameplay, you're not going to get into rank 4. But let's see. 88mm gun, rapid fire 37. The rapid fire 37 is a really good gun. 2.7 is definitely going to do it justice. As well as these quad 20 mils. No torpedoes is a bit of a negative, especially when you get into uptiers and you want to face blue water vessels. Though with the speed of 35 kilometers an hour, you're not going to want to, go out in the open and face blue water ships. I want to check one thing though in the armor view protection analysis if I shoot it. A hull segment, so it's the coastal damage model. I assume it'll be rather fragile. It'll probably be a rather fragile ship. It's going to be just another coastal vessel. It's not bad, not good. It's just another addition for the German coastal line. Maybe there will be more ships in the line, but I don't quite know. Because it's this Flussy one, or what is its proper name? Christian der Große, is another anti-air barge, basically, and we already have anti-air barges. Let's see. So that's really all for Flussy. It's just another coastal vessel. Not game-breaking, not bad. Definitely like the 2.7 BR though. I first read it that it'll have a 3.0 or 3.3 BR because it's a rank 4, but 2.7 is definitely a good BR for it. The only other ship on the list is a Japanese with JDS Harukaze. And it's another Fletcher, basically. I mean, it is a bit different, I think. But it's just another American destroyer that after the war got modified and changed. 3 guns, you know these guns, I recently did a video on them. It's basically, yeah, it's just an American destroyer, but at 4.0 and with only 3 guns. I have seen the CDK stuff. I'm going to cover the CDK stuff with my video on the dev server, definitely. But it's not on this dev server for as far as I can see, so I can't really say anything about it. What's next? I mean, what can I really say about Harukaze? It's a rank 2 destroyer. It's early on. What can I really say about it? Yeah, it is basically a worse Yugure. Anything interesting in the modifications? Not really. It's just, if you've seen my video on the American destroyers, this is basically another one. Just an American destroyer, but now in the Japanese line. I'm still going to get it. I'm still going to spade it, of course, but nothing too interesting in my opinion. Now, the smaller stuff. PR 12412, the Russian coastal vessel. What did it get? Aiming angles increased for the 30mm rotary cannon, so this has an increased gun arc. Good, I guess. What do we have for the next one? Was Yugumo. Apparently what is the torpedo launchers? For the first torpedo launcher has been increased. Let's take a look. So I assume that the first torpedo launcher will have a better firing angle. That's good. Always nice to have buffs to ships, I guess. The Leichte, going back to Germany coastal. God, no, that's the heavy. We want the light. This 37 could change to a different one, apparently. But for some reason I can no longer select it. That's a bit annoying. I don't know what it changed, but oh well. Then, as somebody said earlier here, British torpedoes have been changed from Mark 9 to Mark 9 star on pretty much all of them. So let's take a look at that. I'll just take whatever one I have. Blue Water Fleet. Let's look at Calvin. Modifications. Torpedoes. Let's remove the torpedo mode because it's trash like on all ships. 10-kilometer range. A bit slow. The destroyer Kirishima was the... because I see it in chat. The destroyer Kirishima was the premium you could buy to get into the Japanese closed beta test for their naval line. It's, I think, hidden or no longer for sale. It's basically just a Yugumo but with more anti-air. I'll have to compare these. It is a hefty payload, yeah, now that I look at it. A bit slow speed, good range. I'll have to compare these torpedoes to the live server for my video to see what exactly changed, but decent torpedoes. It's a bit too slow and a bit too much range for my personal preference, but definitely good torpedoes. That new US premium ship, I'll get back to it because I can't test drive it. I'll get back to it later. But first, let's see what else changed in the smaller notes. Shell ballistics have changed. Ooh boy, more stuff to thoroughly test. Maris has been added. It seems that in general, most of the shells have increased penetration now compared to before. But that's something I'll have to test between live and dev server. So that'll take me a while. I see the questions coming up about what ships currently have catapult aircraft. I'm getting to it. I'm just reading through the notes. But I think it's actually not in the notes which have them, so I'll have to check manually. But yeah, I'll again, if I don't find it in this stream, I'll definitely find it by the time I'll make a video on this subject on the dev stream, because I do always make videos on the dev stream and go in depth for everything we found. So don't worry about that. So shells got changed, more penetration, flatter arcs. That's something I'll have to test thoroughly with some mates of mine. Spee got buffed apparently. Armor changes. I don't quite. Again, I'll have to. Yes, there are Japanese ships with 4 deployable planes. Again, I'll check all of those later, so don't worry. What do we have? Crash Spee armor plates got changed, like I said. Parishkaya Communa, dynamics of sinking and behavior of ship and flooding has been fixed. It no longer capsizes when losing buoyancy up to 60 or 80 degrees. Percent, sorry. That's a shame. Paris Communa will no longer capsize at 80%. I wish they would do that for the Coma as well, but oh well. Raleigh and Trenton model fuel tanks have been added in areas of ammunition rooms, blah blah blah. Liverpool and Southampton have gotten more armor for their barbettes. Well, let's see if that's true. Liverpool and what is Southampton? Customization, armor. Oh, that's weird. Definitely changed. Kind of annoyed by the fact that I've got this bug where I can't actually tell what the thickness of these armor plates are, but oh well. I'll go over it in the video for it. M17 got some changes as well, minor changes. Visual changes, I'm not going to check the visual changes, it's just too small. Blah, 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 blah. So now, the scout planes. Let's actually go look at those, shall we? Do we have any particular ships we want to check? Actually, let's... No, not Tassil. Southampton customization. It doesn't have an airplane storage, does it? Doesn't have an airplane modification. Is there a British ship? Leander has an aircraft, I know that much for sure. So let's take a look at that. Has an aircraft. Does it work? No, there's no aircraft modification. Does anybody know any aircraft with any ships with working aircraft? Yes, it is the same Rowan from Flipped Discord. You're correct. Person in chat. Let's look at the Japanese because I know that they have a lot of aircraft. No. No. Have they not added the aircraft for any other ships yet? Yeah, Hipper might. Let me check Hipper, but I don't have many of them, sadly. Yeah, the Scharnhorst plane will work, definitely. Hipper doesn't have the mod. Like, I'm looking for the. Like, when you look at Scharnhorst, I'm looking for this. I'm looking for the hydroplane modification. Do some American aircraft have them? Yeah, I'm looking at them, but the Japanese don't have them. Like, Tone doesn't have one. Doesn't have the modification. I mean, it might have one, but I'll check later. Does American got which ones? Because sadly I don't have many Americans either. Yeah, that's what I thought. Though somebody has said on the what is it, that BLK or whatever it is. No, it's not BLK. The file director, it's these data mine files for stuff. The Japanese sky planes were in there, so I'm hoping they'll be for the next dev server or when live hits. Do we have any ships with OS2Us on them though? Well, any that I have, at least. Does Baltimore have them? No. It's a bit annoying that we don't have a list of the planes that have them either, which is... Does Japan get one anyway? But I'll check these. This one doesn't have any aircraft scraps. No. Yeah, for Scharnhorst, right, Halo? It might be possible that the shells aren't correct anyway. But I still think that those guns are not going to be adequate enough for most battleships. But it's definitely going to be a cruiser killer. Oh, for the Taka, does it have? Does for the Taka have it? Nope. Don't see the modification. So, well, I'll just test it and see if I have it anyway. Thoughts on Scharnhorst? Scharnhorst, somebody asks. Capable, very capable ship. Very tanky, very fast. Guns a bit lackluster. The guns are not going to be good enough to fight other battleships, but it's going to be a cruiser leader, so to speak. Very annoying that nobody has these planes. Because I do have some Golden Eagle spare from tournaments and stuff like that. So I could just buy the modification. But while I don't have Scharnhorst, do I? So I can't test on that. Does Class B have it? No, sad. That is very annoying. I'll have to get somebody who does have Scharnhorst to test it for me. Weird. Well then, because I can't test the planes, because nobody has the planes for some odd reason. Because I'll just read off the chat because that's all I can really do at the moment. All that can keep me busy. Somebody asks, why do I not think there would be adequate guns? I'm not saying that they would be bad guns. I'm just thinking that they're not going to be good enough to deal with most battleships. Mainly because when I look at Scharnhorst guns, I look at the penetration of their AP shell. The ranges I look at is 7,500 meters, because that's roughly the ranges you see battleship fights at. 7,500 meters, you have 366 millimeters, sure enough, but at 0 degrees. So you look at 30 degrees, 290. Most battleships in game have a 305 millimeter belt or 200 and something millimeter belt. It'll punch through the belt, but I don't think it'll punch deep enough. Again, I'm not familiar with Graf Space guns, so I can't really tell. I'm not familiar with many other battleship guns, to be honest. But I think, like, these are still going to be very good guns against cruisers, definitely. And some of the weaker battleships, like Setsu, for example, only has 225 millimeters of armor, I think. So that one's going to get beaten quite a lot. Let's see. Yeah, like lighter armor. 305 millimeter belt still, but still. Yeah, you say that crush-based guns are wonky, but they've changed all of these shells now, haven't they? So what I'll do now is I'll go on USS Wilkinson, because I'm interested to see how fast those 76s fire. And I'll look at the shell characteristics, because I know on Mixture that the shells are rather floaty and rather slow, and it takes roughly 5 seconds to reach a destroyer target.
For airborne and surface targets.
So let's see what these 76s are like.
Targets.
If they'll open fire. That's a high rate of fire, that's for sure.
Target acquired.
It seems they overheat a bit though.
Aircraft down.
No. Nope. I clicked up the game. There we are. I'll test the guns first, and I'll answer the questions that I'm just seeing popping up. But anyway, what do we have here? So this on the live server, when I tested the guns for my video on the American destroyers, I found out that the Mitcher's guns usually take like 4-ish seconds to reach this target. Oh boy, it takes 7. Ooh, that's. Check the snap rounds. That counter isn't accurate. Is it accurate? Am I just not seeing the tracer flag explosive? Why are they at the same time? Oh no, there's it's still sap. Oh no, this Must be misremembering it. But I'll for my main video on this stuff, I'll definitely compare the guns, like the gun velocities, the gun arcs, that kind of stuff. Do I have Zara? Sadly enough, I don't. I don't have many blue water ships, to be honest, except for the Japanese 3. Many cruisers. Somebody asked the question earlier. If Scharnhorst comes soon, when do I think that BBs like North Carolina, Bismarck, Roma, Queen Elizabeth, King George V, Nagato and Flussy will come? Genuinely, I don't know. The Fuso is kind of the old one out, because I kind of think it'll be coming soon. Like maybe an update or 2 away at most. Because of that video and because I really don't know. Like, Scharnhorst is a bit of an odd battleship to begin with, because it has great survivability, has great mobility, but the armament kind of compensates for it, somewhat. It's still a very potent armament, but not quite as dangerous as something like, for example, King George V with okay, I'm maybe not that bad, but I don't really know too much about these battleships. Like, I don't know the speed of their speeds or the top of their head, the protection too well. Though I'm not against seeing those ships though, because we all know that that's just where this game is heading. We're going to see those battleships eventually. When we're going to see them, I don't know. I've seen a lot of people over the past few days wanting to see Alaska together with Scharnhorst, because Alaska has been in that one trailer since New Power, and it's just a shame we haven't seen it yet. And original Fuso or Pagoda Fuso. We saw Pagoda Fuso in that one video by DMM. So Pagoda Fuso is very likely to be soonish. So all it really is a worse Hugo with more 25 mils. It's not going to have the best anti-air, but it's a very iconic ship. What do I do now, really? I don't have access to the new scout planes, sadly. I can't get my hands on Scharnhorst to test it, so I'll just have to get other people to test it for me. They're kind of similar. bit of a shame that we don't have any other aircraft, really. Like, especially this OS2Us. It's really not a single ship past them. It's weird that not as like for the Americans. I'll just go through all of them because why not? Nope. Nope. Let's take a look. Nope. Don't even think Atlanta has a plane to begin with. Nope. It's really, really weird that we don't have it. I've seen the file screenshot. I have. That's what somebody asked earlier. That I said earlier that we're going to see more ships if those files are correct. So it's going to be really interesting. What else? Those planes are in that, like, well, I'll just answer the questions now. The planes are in that file that's on the Discord server that's been spreading around. They're like which one is it? The E-13A is a Japanese scout plane. I think the E series planes are scout planes for the Japanese. So, like, I appreciate the offer of people saying, "Oh, I'll just let you on my account for Scharnhorst," but that's technically against the Gaijin EULA, and I don't want to get in trouble. Thank you very much. And I don't want you to get into trouble either. What ships do I think will beat Scharnhorst that we have in game at the moment? I think, honestly, Scharnhorst is going to be a tough nut to crack internally. Like, it's going to be difficult to get to the engines and the ammo. But if you saturate the hull with high explosive, you might cripple it fairly easily. Like, just for an example, what do I have again? Like its own high explosive. If you shoot it around the midsection here, it'll knock out 2 gunmans. But if you take a bigger gun of, let's say, the USSR, the Marias, you take their SAP rounds even, you fire it at the superstructure. That'll pan. Okay, never mind. But if you fire a high explosive at it, it'll knock out several secondary guns. And secondary guns will drain crew, depending on the secondary mount, depending on the size of the gun, the amount of crew that's on it. Is my thing still bugged so I can actually check the... it's still bugged. But I think... I don't know. Scharnhorst is definitely going to be a bit of a meta ship, I think. Because of the reliable armor and the high speed. It's especially that speed, I think, that people need to take into account. Because it'll keep up with cruisers. It'll be able to go to the better spots. It'll be able to go flank around with cruisers. It's going to be quite an interesting ship. Okay, what else? Check Tony AP. I can do that for sure. Again, I'll check all of these values with the live server after my stream when I'm making the video. But other than that, I'll have to check later. What are the other questions? Anti-Alligator set. Val's got a buff apparently. Let's take a look at that one. Again, I'll have to compare these with the live server to get a full idea of what the changes are. Oh yeah, Halo. I did actually try Marlborough's HE first against Scharnhorst. It like removed 4 secondary turrets with a single shell. If I take a look at that again. Like if you aim at the funnel, basically, you just knock out four gun turrets. somebody saying that the Scharnhorst model is wrong. Well, who is actually surprised at this point that they get models wrong? How long did it take them to fix the Agano model so it isn't a mismatch between several different ships of the same class? So, timesheets on what? On secondaries? Like the HEV, the TF? Let me actually check what shells it gets. Because these, what are these, 88s? No, or 105s actually, oh boy. No, I want modifications, not production analysis. 105s come with TF stock. It's better than nothing. HETF is better than nothing. HETF on the main guns? Why? Does it have good elevation or something? Even then, why would you want that? But, like, the only reason you'd want to load a salvo of HETF on your main guns is when you literally have nothing else to shoot at. Nothing. And even then it's a bit weird. Like, I think Scharnhorst has enough anti-air firepower that you do not have to worry about loading HETF on the main gun, so don't worry about that. Especially about these 105s, these are like 3 dual pairs per side, then you have 1 at the rear. I think that'll be adequate enough for long-range anti-air. Yeah. The pretty much all Japanese guns had anti-air shells for some reason, but doesn't mean that they'll be useful in this game. Actually, now that you say so, Halo, it might actually be useful to indeed load HETF in the main guns to just yeet at the capture zone to kill the scout planes that land on them. That might actually be a good point. On the topic of scout planes, I want to address something that might be going around on some servers. I've seen people saying that scout planes is a step towards carriers. Oh boy, do I... in a certain sense, I guess that is correct. But on the other hand, it's really not even close to being like this mechanic for scout planes is not even close to being viable for aircraft carriers. Not even close. And it's really one of my pet peeves. Like, like these scout planes, especially now that they have these smoke screens, is a very interesting tool to use, especially with the smoke screens. But saying that oh boy, we have scout planes, now we'll have carriers soon. No. Like, I will say though, a certain part of me wants to see carriers just because they're beautiful ships, but I know full well that that's going to be a very difficult thing to try and fit into this game. Yeah, maybe it's a step towards seaplane tenders. Some Japanese seaplane tenders are kind of interesting, like the Nishin, with 3 dual 140mm turrets. Very interesting boat ship. I don't really have anything else to go over, unless somebody still has questions of some ship that I haven't seen yet. So just as somebody pops up, what are all the new ships? I'll just show you. There are only 4 of them at the moment, though according to some data mines there are more of them coming, so you might see some more interesting ones. The only 4 ships we have on the dev server at the moment is USS Wilkinson, as you might be able to see, a mixture with better 76s but no 20 mils premium. Might be a decent premium actually to pick up. It's a fun ship. 4.3 is a good BR for it. The other ships we have, of course, the gem of the update, Scharnhorst, and the Coastal Fleet Flussy 1, which is a 2.7, which is a really good BR for it. So it's going to be a fine coastal vessels. Then the 4th ship is the Japanese American destroyer, basically the post-war destroyer. Only 4 ships at the moment, a bit disappointing. Though from the data mine that I've seen pop up around Discord, there might be some very interesting ships coming anyway. So, yeah. But I'll cover all of that in the separate video as well. If anybody has any more questions or anything they want to see, anything they want to look at, please put it in the chat. I think if anybody's interested, I might actually grind this new Japanese destroyers in the dev server if people are interested. Can I check the rate of fire on the main guns? I'd love to check the rate of fire on the main guns, but for some reason, as you might be able to see, my game is bugged for some reason. I can't actually hover over anything and see what the values are. It's really annoying. Maybe it'll be fixed after I play a game. But also, again, I'll put all of these stats, I'll put them all in the separate video, so if you can't watch the stream any longer, or you don't have the time, I'll put it all in a video, and you'll be able to see it there, for sure. Do I have any other way of looking at the rate of fire? Don't think I have. So yeah, that's really it. I can show for the new stuff. I can yeah, I'll go ahead and play some Japanese destroyers to grind that new boat. What should I play? I think I'll go with the 4.7 lineup because Yubari recently moved down. I kind of want to see how that thing does. Although it's dev server, I can't really tell how well a ship will do in a dev server. It is certain BR. Blue water fleet. Thank you very much. Don't have any 4.7 on the cruise slot. Damn. 7. Way too many 4.7s here. And Akizuki. Actually, I should put that Yudachi on that empty slot here. If anybody, by the way, if anybody wants to see anything other than ships, sure, go ahead and ask. I'll show it to you. I can't really say anything about it, but I'll show it to you anyway. So, go ahead. Anyway, I'll play a game here, and probably because of the dev server, get Harukaze, and see what that's like. Yeah, as I see in the chat, I only cover ships because I know ships. I can show you the other things if you want to see them, but I can't really say anything about them. So if you want to see them, go ahead and ask. And it looks like somebody wants to see the F4J in the US, in the American tree. I'll just show it to you. But again, I can't really say much about it. F4J is not here. It might be a thing that you saw in those what is it? Those data mines that have been going around Discords. The F4J, it's not on the dev server, so I can't show it to you. So now, without further ado, actually let me just level up the crew first. That's the wrong button. Let me level up the crew first, and then we can go grind a new Japanese destroyer. And hopefully get my game unbugged. Well. If Kai's requirement is to add vehicles that at least partially built, does it mean we can see Mackinson one day? Maybe. I'm not too familiar with Mackinson myself, only from seeing it in that other boat game. But if its keel got laid down, if the guns existed, it might come to the game one day. Sure. Though I really don't know. Yeah, yeah, Italy only having one battleship does kind of suck. And don't forget, they got their battleships really late as well. Mm. Yep, somebody new popped in, H3. Welcome to the stream. You did miss most of my summary, but again, if you have things you want to see, anything in particular, just ask me. After this battle, I'll go ahead and show you. Probably better actually go for C and A. The size of Scharnhorst guns in inches is 11. 11-inch guns. Same as Graf Spee and same as... Is it Westfalen, I think? 283mm. On the lower end for a battleship, but still powerful guns, especially against cruisers. Anyway, we can now... I can now look at chat and answer any questions, because it'll take me a while to get to capture point, obviously. Actually, how many... Oh, we do have one player. Still, I'm kind of salty that I can't test these scout planes out. Kind of salty. I'll just hope I can find somebody with footage from Scharnhorst, or somebody who has Scharnhorst and can just test it with me in a custom battle later. I think the penetration seems to have increased, but the more important thing is the gun arcs. The shell velocity seems to have changed drastically. I'm definitely going to have to compare that to the live server with footage, so that'll be something for the video to really confirm. But I'm not sure if the shells have become slower or faster. So while yeah, the pen has been buffed and increased, it's very likely that with all bots, it's a dev server. That's what you get in naval battles in the dev server. All bots and one player. You're up there. One player. Yeah, I don't know about the guns on Scharnhorst either. I think that they might struggle against somewhat more well-armored battleships, especially at range. But I don't really think that the Scharnhorst is something that you should use to battle other battleships. It's going to be something you will lead a cruiser fleet with, certainly. Eamon, yes, I will show the armor of the Scharnhorst, but again, as I said, there was a bit of a bug with my game at the moment where I couldn't really see the armor values. What I'll tell you now is that it has a 350mm thick belt for most of it, and a very steep 105mm thick turtleback behind it. But I'll show you after this game anyway. Modern battleships and launching seaplanes. Will it attract more people? Modern battleships, certainly. I have friends that I know that just love the look of Scharnhorst so much that I might actually go and just buy it. The seaplanes themselves might not. I actually see the seaplanes becoming a bit of a problem by people that not know how to properly set up smoke screens. Because, yeah, smoke screens might be quite annoying if somebody just drops it in front of you for some reason. What I really wanted to test out was the flight pattern of that float plane, because on the space several dev servers ago, that float plane would just fly off in a straight line. But on the dev streams, I saw that float plane climb up to an altitude. So I'm wondering if it has a certain flight pattern to it or not. But that'll be something I'll have to. No, the walrus sadly isn't functional yet. It's in the files, so it's very likely to be functional in a future dev server and definitely by the live server. But it's no ship other than Scharnhorst that's functional at Scout Base at the moment. 1 second. I'll be right back. Sorry, I'm back. I just had to my brother pop in for a second. So let's go do some ship killing now that we're at it. Is it cheat function again? That's good. The sports.
We are losing.
Let me just catch up to chat again. But working naval radar, to be honest, I actually find radar screens more annoying than anything. When I see them in my HUD, they're way too large. They cover up the chat as well, which is kind of annoying. The thing is, the smoke screens on planes, they seem to last very long. So I think it'll be alright with 5 smoke screens really. And also you don't want people to spam them too much. Quite a few ships have air radar at the moment. Aoba, for example, the Japanese ship has air radar. Most of the frigates has air radar as well. I don't think any ship has surface radar yet. I think all of them. I think all seaplanes can deploy smoke screens. The ship launched seaplanes, by the way, not just the random factory ones. I think that at least was the. That's what I think at least. Can't confirm because there aren't any. Man, these birds turn slow. The current general impression. Hugo overturn? I don't think so. Scharnhorst is a tough ship, a fast ship, but not that powerful in gun armament. It's going to be a very... Again, I'll say this, Scharnhorst is going to be a cruiser leader. it's going to be joining cruisers, and it's going to join cruisers in their... Scharnhorst can flank, can get to good positions with other cruisers. It's just going to be a bit of a weird battleship. It's not going to be that good against fighting against all battleships, I think. Because the guns are a bit... I don't know, I'm not familiar with the 283s, but I don't think they'll be good enough to really effectively fight other battleships.
Enemy forces have captured a zone.
Really get a second monitor one of these days. This training setup is rather scuffed for one. The guns on Spey and Scharnhorst are not the same. Scharnhorst has longer guns and different shells, I think. Any improvements to naval gameplay other than new sequence? Apparently something with the shell trajectory has changed a lot, but I really have to dig into that myself after the stream. Something about shell velocities, their arcs being flatter or something. I really have to look into that. And a lot of penetration changes, so it's going to be a lot to take in.
Strategic zones.
Of course, this guy dodged torpedo. It's AI, why not? Let's see if this Panzer will dodge the torpedoes this time. Yeah, he'll dodge them, damn it. No change in the Royal Navy, though actually, there is a change in the Royal Navy. Their destroyers got a different torpedo, I think. Any new exciting ships? Not really, nothing that you haven't seen. There's a new Japanese destroyer, the Flussy got a death block, Scharnhorst, you know, and then there's of course the... what do you call it? The American Premium, Wilkinson, a premium Mitcher. There are a lot more ships in the files though, apparently, but I'm not quite sure about that. What did I hit? Oof, I didn't even aim at it. Yeah, that should be... I hope it will be good enough for getting that new destroyer. New destroyer. Where is it? There, Harukaze. Let me just line up my old 4.0. Okay, so that's crew slots. Where do these two go? There. Let's put Harukaze over there. Portrait kilometers an hour stock. Same as always, really. But the quad bofers will be alright against air, I guess. What time is it? I think I'll spade Harukaze, keep up with the chat as much as I can, and I think I'll have to end the stream afterwards. So if you have any questions, if you want to see any ships, that reminds me, somebody wants to see the armor scheme of Scharnhorst. Ask them now before I go into another battle. Battle Rogue, if you want to use Yubari to grind with, no, it is not a good ship. The only reason that battle looked so good is because it was all against bots and they're all in reserve destroyers. Don't get Yubari if you actually want to grind with it. It is not a good ship. It is slow, has slow turret reverse, bad guns. Yeah, I get, like, if you're a Japanese main and you're willing to suffer, buy Yubari, sure. Scharnhorst armor scheme, somebody wanted to look at it. And I can now actually look at the armor values again. So, if the person that wanted to take the screenshots is still here, go ahead and take them. Because it's now or never, really. Anyways, you can actually just go back in the VOD and look at it later. So yeah, it's quite decent armor for a battleship, that's for sure. And now for the internal armor. As you can see, a very steeply angled turtleback. Fire Hugo sub at it. I'll do that in a bit. Just 1 second. Some armored bulkheads, thick parapets. It's quite possible that the protection of Scharnhorst isn't quite accurate. It generally isn't for large ships for some reason. So it's very possible that these armor values will change anyway. And now that I'm here, what is the 3.5 rounds a minute? That's a fast reload for these guns. Huh. That's a, what is that? 17, 18 second reload? For Scharnhorst? That is a 17-second reload. Oh boy, that is quite spicy. Okay, anyway, somebody wanted me to fire Hugo sap at the side of the thing. So let's do that. Just that. So I'm piercing the range. Standard battle ranges, really. Let's go. So if you fire it at the belt, nothing's going to happen because it just doesn't have the pen. If you fire it at the bow, you can kill a crew compartment and the pump. So I guess you want to shoot the bows and stern of this thing, but I mean, Not like you're really going to kill anything. If you try to strike it below the waterline, you could. But it's going to get absorbed, really. Semi-armor piercing, that is. I think armor piercing stands a bit of a better chance. But still, it's going to... Yeah, maybe if you manage to go below the belt. Where in the tree, Scharnhorst? It comes in the Scharnhorst comes after Kaiser, von der Tann, and Graf Spee. So it's in the battle cruiser line, because it is, for some reason, designated as a battle cruiser, even though it is a battleship. Sure, Atlas, you can ask if there's anything new for Italian aviation. Let me check. I don't think there is, but I'll check anyway. Do I see any shiny yellow ribbons? I do not. I'm sorry, but there's nothing new that I can see yet. Upper belt AP, that was something I wanted to see. Scharnhorst. Why am I on the aircraft line? There we are. I don't think Hugo's AP is all that useful against the upper front belt, especially at range. Like, battle ranges for battleships is like 10-ish kilometers, 9-ish. So if I wanted to go through the upper belt, I just don't. And that's broadside on, remember. Like, I don't know what the impact angle is, but it's not going through. So yeah, Scharnhorst is going to be a tough ship at this rate. I think the best choice, if you have to face a Scharnhorst, spam high explosive in the superstructure. Like, try to knock out the gun turrets, try to knock out the secondaries, maybe even detonate the torpedoes. Something like that. What else? Because I think I've missed a question. Dante's new shell value, because somebody asked for it. I don't know the original shell value. I'll have to check with the live server after the stream. So, semi-armor piercing is this. I'll give you a few seconds so you can fully read it. What other questions were there? I'll test the AP of Marlborough against Scharnhorst, sure, hello. And then the armor piercing, so everybody can see. Okay, I hope that I helped the person that wanted to see the shells. What else? AP. Scharnhorst main gun, like, oddly enough, I find the designation of battle cruiser somewhat fitting. Because it's almost cruiser level firepower. The bug happened again, but I remember it. It has a 3.5 rounds per minute fire rate, which is a 17-second reload. That's a fast reload for a battleship. Even though it has smaller caliber guns. The shells, I've heard that they're not quite accurate yet, but I believe they're more than capable of dealing with cruisers, though maybe somewhat lacking against battleships. Again, I'm not the most confident in judging battleships because I only have the Japanese ones. So, and I also don't know if the shell trajectory changes change the viability of below waterline hits. So if you can get below waterline hits with Scharnhorst, you'll be able to knock out the battleship probably. But yeah, Scharnhorst is a tanky ship that can take a lot of fire and not really deal that much damage. So take a lot of damage but not deal a lot of damage. It's definitely an interesting ship. I'd say if you're not sure on whether to get it, get it. It's definitely an interesting ship. It's fast, it has a lot of armor, it has interesting guns, interesting armament, good torpedoes. Get it. It's going to be a fun ship, especially for now. The best AA capital ship, I'm not sure. It has a total of 16 37s. 14 105s of HETF, and a bunch of 20 mils. But I think actually it should be the best anti-air, shouldn't it? The only thing that comes close, of course, is Parishkaya Comuna, but I think that only has like 676s and also 1637s, and then some Dishkas. So it'll have better anti-air. It will have the best anti-air of a capital ship in the game, I think. Have they changed the target? I'll check that. I'll check if they updated the rangefinder stats, but I don't think they have. I didn't see anything in the... And I can't check because of the bug. I'll have to check later. The only thing they would have to change would be the accuracy, because the time difference was already a thing. Like, especially if you compare modern destroyers to battleships. Yeah. For the American heavy cruisers have better AA, definitely. But for capital ships, I mean battleships and battle cruisers, Scharnhorst will have the best anti-air. For now. That's for sure. Like you say that, but the Russian battleship actually doesn't have more anti-air guns. Scharnhorst does. Scharnhorst has the same amount of 37s. It has more large caliber guns, and all of those 20 mils as well, while the Parishkaya Comuna only has Dishkas 12.7s. Aren't they the rapid fire ones? I haven't actually checked because I haven't zoomed in yet. Where are they? Where actually are those 37s? Am I just blind? Oh, no, that's quad 20. Oh, there they are. Oh yeah, those are the slow firing ones, aren't they? Yikes. Better in terms of punch, sure, but it's... You want rate of fire when dealing with aircraft, not really punch, to be honest. I think you underestimate the amount of anti-air this is, Francesco. Like, the 37s, yes, now that I see that the slow firing ones are rather lacking. ACTF shouldn't be underestimated at long range, especially for high altitude bombers like PE-8s. Large caliber guns are usually very good against them, even with high explosive time fuse. Yes, it's inaccurate, but if you have a good enough crew, TF will do the job as well. Don't worry. If you have a good enough crew, of course. The 20mm, sure, there are a few of them, but 6 quadruple mounts, that's still 12 20mm per broadside, and then you have the 10 singles as well. Anything else I can think of? Anything else anybody wants to ask, really? Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know if any of you have seen... Oh yeah, the Whitehailer, the AP. I keep getting distracted. Marlborough, that's Britain, of course. Oh, misclicked. You go with... Which AP shell? The Mark 1 AP, so this one. Yeah, the first one. I'll go with both anyway. Battle ranges, let's say 9 kilometers for the sake of it. Not going through the upper belt. Well, not the upper belt, the belt. You're not going through the belt with battleship AP of Scharnhorst. Like, if you want to maybe go... The thing is, with Scharnhorst being as fast as it is, I actually need to look at cruiser engagement ranges, not battleship engagement ranges. So I'll say 7 kilometers. Still, it's... yeah, it punched through, but got stopped by the turtleback. Then we have... that one has more punch, right? This one? Yeah. Yes, it has more punch. Yep. Let's flatten that a bit. Yeah, you like at closer ranges you'll punch through the armored belt, but you'll get stopped by the turtleback. Yeah. No. Somebody asked who about arty tanks. They're still the same as with the Type 75 SPH and all the other low-tier artillery tanks. There's no special artillery mode. So if it's because of that new Swedish thing, that thing actually has a really high velocity gun for what it is, so you might actually still be able to use it effectively at range. I'd be surprised. But yeah. I think I'll end it here because my family is calling me for dinner. I think I'll leave it here. Thank you all for coming and watching the stream. I'll be sure to upload a video of all of the nitty-gritty details about this dev server afterwards. And I think that'll have to be it. Anyways, thank you all. And I guess I'll see you later.